fire back to the land, centering Indigenous people who have managed the land here with fire for thousands of years. And we acknowledge without Indigenous leadership, the land and our community is not whole. And there's a lot of interest in bringing prescribed fire, controlled burning back to the land, and we're approaching that by centering Indigenous people in that work. So we're in our second half of an Indigenous fire practitioner training where 15 people are learning how to be basic firefighters. So they'll have a FFT2 qualification, which means they can go work for agency, a tribe as a wildland firefighter, or here locally participate in prescribed burns. And we're hopeful that the more we figure out how to do this across the landscape on private lands, on tribally owned lands, the more people in the community can be a part of that work.
We brought some youth to learn about Indigenous fire practice. So they're Indigenous fire practitioners in a training to learn about revitalizing the landscape and bringing back traditional foods, also regenerating the soil and then reconnecting with the land, connecting with the language, actually reducing the risk of wildfire at the same time. So there's a bunch of benefits going on.
I remember being in college in the 90s and people were recognizing that the current strategy of suppressing all wildfires, that wasn't working, that it was leading to more and more catastrophic fires, and that something needed to change, but the sort of political inertia and just the structures in place have been really slow to change. And I think it probably has taken until more recently, when the catastrophic fires have come into towns and started burning people's homes and cities, that the reality has really struck home, and it's become unavoidable that this is in fact the world we live in now. And we have, 150 or more years of work to do. Like, we've been suppressing fire that long, and those fuels have built up on the landscape. It's not going to be a simple solution. It's going to take everybody coming together around this to make it work.
I know who she is. Yeah. We'll let you know when
Sarah Frazier is leading Division Lima. She also has a black hard hat. She's right there. Working for Sarah will be Engine 115 and Engine 114 from the Grand Ranch.
I can be with Dahlia. You want to be with Tante?
Yeah, sure.
And then I'll get another person to go with you.
Get it up in that grass to your right there.
Okay, right here.
There you go.
Suppression comes, suppression to whitefish.
Test fire successful, and we'll continue with ignition.
Romeo, copy.
This exercise is intended to reconnect people with fire and with the land that needs fire. We're standing on a really fire-prone landscape. It has a lot of remnant ponderosa pine, which in the Willamette Valley is actually quite rare. And when I say remnant, I mean pine that was in the Willamette Valley prior to settlement. So some of the trees here are a couple hundred years old, and they probably haven't seen fire in 100 to 150 years. So the land needs fire, and people need to reconnect with the kinds of land that need fire, and in particular, members of tribes and Indigenous peoples who co-evolved with the land through the use of fire. So the idea is to change the mindset that most people have about fire, which is one of fear, and change that to an empowered mindset around how to use fire, how to employ it, and how to relate to land and culture through it. And this is not just tribal members. We have a tribal settler partnership here today. So we have people who are supporting this effort, who are not tribal members, not from Indigenous communities, but who see the value of land that is managed by people from those communities, want to learn from it and also support them reclaiming that, and also getting to share it with their families and other people.
Let Dahlia pop out this little exit. Quiet into the other fire.
Yeah, looks like there's a pathway.
When settlers first arrived here, many of them didn't understand fire. Some of them did learn from native peoples, and in some places fire use actually increased for a short time, but in most places fire was misunderstood and seen as a bad thing that was demonized, and there was this desire to eliminate it. We need to get back to the truth of it so that fire's rightful place can be restored and the land's rightful fire stewards can be restored as well.